What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Crypto. Let me switch the camera here. What's going on, guys? Today is the 9th of April, 2024. It's about 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time where I am located. I'm currently live here on YouTube. I'm also live on Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram, make sure to go to the pinned comment. I am live. I'm going to be live on YouTube right now as we discuss Bitcoin, as we talk about the Bitcoin halving, because the Bitcoin halving is almost here, guys, and you guys need to be prepared for the Bitcoin halving that's coming. Literally, let's take a look at it right now. We are about 10 days away. Let me put it here on the camera. We're about 10 days and 15 hours away. So remember, this could all change. Right now, it's predicting that the Bitcoin halving event is going to be on the 20th of April. So I think that's exactly when that's going to happen, on 420. Like, this is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin loves the number 69. Bitcoin loves the number 420. Bitcoin loves to troll overall. So I think it's just destiny for this next halving event to happen on 420. And that's what it looks like it's setting up for a 420 halving. Remember, last time during the bull run, it peaked at $69,000. Now this time for the halving, it's gonna be on 420. It only makes sense, right? 420 and 69. So in today's live, we're gonna be talking about the Bitcoin halving specifically. That's what we will be focusing on. We're going to be going over the different phases of the Bitcoin halving cycle and how you could potentially play the different phases so you can maximize your returns and make as much money as possible. The different phases, remember, guys, that these have been made. If you go all the way back through all the previous halvings, you will see, and you guys are not looking at my face right now, there we go. If you go through all the different halvings, you will see that there is a pattern in the different Bitcoin halving phases during these cycles. So there's the pre-accumulation cycle, there's the pre-halving rally, then a pre-halving retracement period, which is what we're in right now. The retracement period is usually before the halving event. Then after the halving event, the first phase, which is a fourth phase, is going to be the post-halving accumulation phase. During this phase, usually the price accumulates and ranges. And then, of course, what Bitcoin is known for, which is the Bitcoin, the post-halving rally. This is when Bitcoin really takes off and just goes bananas. It has that parabolic move to the upside that everyone is well aware of, where everyone makes their money. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's live stream. Again, guys, if you guys are in the Instagram live, I pinned the link in the comments so that you guys can check us out live on YouTube. That's where we will be doing this live. I'm going to be logging off now on Instagram. Peace out, guys. All right, guys, so let's now dive in. So let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin's price really quick. Let's transition here. So now we have the Bitcoin price, and let me actually go to the chart where I have the halving. So I believe I have that in the all-time price index. There it is. So let's zoom out. Let's go to the weekly time frame and zoom out here. All right, now that we zoomed out, we can see we have a clearer picture on exactly what the 5 phases of the Bitcoin halving are, and where we are right now, right? So we have the pre-halving accumulation right here. You can see that Bitcoin's price accumulated during this period of time. Then we saw the breakout, right? So once it got that breakout, this turned into the pre-halving rally, right? And we can see this massive move all the way up from where we opened here. We opened at $30,000 all the way up to what was a high 73. So basically until the peak of where we set a new all-time high, which was around $73,000, almost 74. Then ever since then, we've been in this pre-halving pullback, which it was about a 18.5% or 18% pullback. Then we had a second pullback here of about 10%. And again, we're still in this range, and we're still, within that 10-day window of the halving. So anything could happen here. The next thing is going to be here, the post-halving accumulation. And this range, I would imagine, is going to be similar to what this range is here, right? We're probably going to be accumulating around where that bottom is. I'm trying to set this up the right way here. There we go. Now let's just move it over. So I think we'll probably stay within this range, and then we'll get the run up, right? Let me get this here. Boom, there we go. So then we get the post-halving rally, which is, of course, what everybody's going to be excited for, what everybody's waiting for. And this is what we bought for. This is why we buy during the bear markets, right? During the bear markets, where you want to ideally buy, because we don't know when the bottom is of a bear market, we really want to buy during the pre-halving accumulation area, right? That's where we essentially want to be buying. Then you could still be buying during the pre-halving rally. You could be buying during this pre-halving pullback, and even during the post-halving accumulation. But the best results and the most profits, ROI, you're going to get is during the pre-halving accumulation. So if you bought during that time, you're good to go. Just sit back, relax, kick your legs up, and enjoy what's about to happen here over the next year, right? If you haven't bought, or if you're still sitting on the sidelines, or maybe you're dollar cost averaging, that's fine too. You still have time to dollar cost averaging. I don't mind dollar cost averaging here, dollar cost averaging during our halving post-halving accumulation. But once we start having this post-halving rally, I would recommend that you stop buying at that point, stop accumulating, stop dollar cost averaging, and we have to then dollar cost average in reverse, meaning that we're gonna start taking profits the same way that we accumulated down here. So that's the idea, and that's how we will be taking profits during that rally. So let's take a look. You're probably asking, how do I know that this is how things are gonna play out, right? And honestly, I don't know, right? But what I do is I'm looking back in history, and that's giving me an idea of what we could be seeing here going forward in the future. So I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not an oracle. I can't tell the future. None of that. What I'm doing is simply taking past data and just trying to make sense of it and use it to predict the future, or not really. I don't like to say predict, but more like, try to guesstimate, try to have an idea of what the probabilities will be going forward, is basically the way that we play these. So here, this was the last Bitcoin halving event, right? And we can see that it looks very similar. We had the pre-halving accumulation phase, right? Now we had one outlier event, which was the COVID crash. So without this COVID crash, this would have looked a lot more like this, where we had accumulation and then the price went up from there. But because we had that outlier event, price actually dropped below the accumulation area and then had a rally, bounced back into that accumulation area, basically, where we also had the post-halving accumulation, and then we had the post-halving rally to the upside, right? Now, if we go even further back, you will see once again the same exact thing. This time without the COVID crash, you can see it looks a lot more like our current setup here, right? We have the pre-halving accumulation, we have the pre-halving rally, which was this right here. Then we have the pre-halving correction, right? And then the post-halving accumulation and the post-halving rally. So if you're wondering how I got these different phases of the cycle, this is exactly how. I just went back in the past, looked at it, and kind of got an average of the last two cycles, and kind of drew up what this cycle might look like, right? So we have basically we've basically called it. It's basically happened exactly as it's happened in the past. The only thing is that the pre-halving rally began a lot earlier. Usually it begins around the 70-day mark. This time you can see it began a whole lot earlier, which is why we've set new all-time highs already before the halving has even happened. Remember, that had never happened before. We've always set new all-time highs post halving, and for the first time ever, we're setting them pre-halving. So, but even after that, even though this was again an outlier event, we have the pre-halving pullback just like it's always happened. So now we're like back on schedule basically. So what I'm predicting next is, potentially that we continue to range here, within for the next, maybe the next few months or so, or we just kind of range in this area, anywhere between the previous all-time high, $74,000, which we just recently set, down to the lows here of around $60,000. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin's price stayed within that range for the next few months. On average, after the halving event, the post-halving accumulation extends for about 90 days, for about 3 months. So are we gonna, see it for 3 months? I don't know. Everything's been a little sped up this time around, which is why I think that it might be shorter. However, that's just kind of where we're at. That's what history is telling us, is that it's around 3 months, around 90 days of accumulation. Let me take a drink of water really quickly. All right, guys. So let me say what's up to everyone that's watching right now. People in the chat, take a couple minutes here. 300 Rivers says, "Sup, Jay? What's going on, Rivers?" Chubbs says, "So when would Bitcoin be what at its lowest to invest?" So Chubbs, that's a loaded question. It's very difficult to say when it's gonna be at its lowest. What I can say is that this is probably the lowest it will be in the next year, this range. I can't say an exact price because, things don't work out like that. But I can say, I can speak in terms of a range, right? Terms of a zone. And I can say in the $60,000 zone is probably the lowest it's going to be in the next 12 months or so, right? So I think that $60,000 is probably the bottom here during this pullback. And after, post-halving, I think usually there's an accumulation area. So I don't expect another massive pullback. So I think you have to dollar cost average in below $70,000 basically is going to be a good time to invest. When the exact bottom is going to be, there's no way to tell, right? If I try to tell you an answer, I'd be lying to you. I'd be making it up. So, oh, there goes my dog making a bunch of noise. Hold on a second. Hey, Teddy. Nope. Sorry about that. It's playing with his ball there. Yeah, that's basically the best thing that I can say. We have to speak in ranges, and $20,000 is gonna be that range. Arish says, "Can I invest in Solana?" Of course you can invest in Solana. You can invest in anything you like, but I do like Solana. I do hold a pretty big bag of Solana, currently sitting at about $173. And I do think that, it's probably in the next year or so, I don't know, can we say $1,000? It is a possibility, right? $1,000. What its low is gonna be right now, again, just like Bitcoin, I can give you a range, and it's probably gonna be around where it was, where the most recent low was, which was around $160. So anything below 180, I'm buying, honestly. For me personally, below 180, I'm dollar cost averaging. Above it, I'm just writing it out. So yeah, that's kind of my feelings on Solana. So now that I've said what's up to a few people in the chat, answered a few questions, let's go ahead and dive back into this Bitcoin halving cycle and phases, and let's talk a little bit more about it and what we could potentially expect here this bull run. So let's dive in there. All right, so a lot of people are asking, you know, the next thing that people are asking is, how high do I think this Bitcoin cycle is gonna go, right? Everyone wants to know. And, you know, I would love to tell you that we're gonna get the same type of returns that we got way back here. Let me change the chart here. I would love to say we're gonna get, you know, let's go from this bottom, from basically this rally here to the top was about 600% return, right? Guys, I think it's safe to say that we're not gonna see a 600% return during this bull run. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but if I'm being honest, I don't think we will see that. And if we go, let's draw from here to where we currently are. We're currently up almost 200%. 600% would be, so I mean, it's actually possible from this point here, which was around $25,000, a 600% move would be around $175,000. That I actually don't mind for that type of move there, because I'm thinking that this bull run, we might peak at around $200,000. 200,000 is not far. We can see 200 is around 700% from, and this is not even saying from the bottom, because if we go all the way to the bottom here, now we're talking over 1,000x return. That's over a 10 times return. If we go to the bottom here, it was around 1,700. So if we're talking bottoms, over 1,700. This one is looking like, you know, potentially 1,200. Let's see what the previous one was before that one. This chart doesn't show it. Let's go back here. This one, let me see, where are we? So let's look at this one over here from around this bottom, 1,700. So I mean, you know, that's a possibility there, right? Where we're able to go. Let's take a look at this bottom here. This was, I think, the one that this is 2015. That bottom to the top, that one was 12,000%. So that one we're definitely not getting 12,000%. Then looking at this one to the top here, 2,100. So that was a big difference there. And then again, looking at this to where we currently are, 300. Where I think we're gonna go potentially 200. So yeah, so it's about a 1,200% return from the bottom to the top, right? And one thing you're gonna notice here, if we take this one out, is that it's diminishing returns, right? We're getting diminishing returns here, and during this cycle here, you can see that that we went up 12,800%. During the previous cycle in 2020, you can see from the bottom to the top was about 2,100%. And during this one, from the bottom to the top, I think we're gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000%. that's kind of my prediction, because what we're seeing is diminishing returns, right? And I know, it might look like it sucks, right? That we're gonna get diminishing returns, but that's just it's Bitcoin. I don't think is exponential, and we've seen it here where we're just gonna continue to get these type of returns. I think the returns are gonna be diminishing. Now, there's a good and a bad to that story, right? The good is, well, let's start with the bad, right? The bad is, yeah, we're not gonna get the same returns as before, right? That's obviously the bad. Now, the good is that we're not going to get the same pullbacks as before. And we're already seeing this. We're already witnessing this. Last year, in 2023, we saw that the pullbacks averaged about, let me transition here. The pullbacks averaged, it was an average on each pullback, it averaged around 21%. Last year, right, in 2023. During the previous bull run in 2021, during the uptrend, during the bull run, the average pullback was also around 21%. And now so far this year, we've had a few pullbacks here, right? So if we look at the pullbacks we've seen so far this year, let's see. So let's go into 2024. So the first pullback was here, 21.5%. Second pullback here, 17%. And I guess this is another little mini pullback here, 10%, right? So in 2024, so far this year, we've seen the biggest pullback, 21.5%. We've seen our most recent pullback about 17.5%, a little bit over that. And then the most recent pullback that we just got a week ago, about 10%. So what is it that this is telling us? That not only are, like, yes, the returns are going to be diminishing. That's the bad, right? But the good is that so are the pullbacks, right? The pullbacks are going to be less volatile. They're going to be also diminishing, right? So I'm expecting that 21.5% average during this bull run to be less than before. So if during last bull run our average was 21.5%, I think that's probably going to be the max pullback, right? I think the low 20s would be the biggest pullbacks that we're going to be seeing during this bull market. And I think the average is going to end up somewhere between 15 to 20% will be the average during these pullbacks here during this new bear market. During this bull market here. So like I said, there's the good and the bad, right? The good is that the bad is that even though there's some diminishing returns as we continue going forward and as Bitcoin's price continues to mature, the good is that there's also going to be diminishing pullbacks and less volatility overall, which is going to be easier for everyone's one peace of mind and everyone's wallets and portfolios, right? It's easier to hold something if we don't get 30 to 40% pullbacks. So so I think that's gonna be good during this cycle. This is something that I'm expecting during this cycle here, and we'll obviously see how it plays out, because like I said, I can't tell you the future, I can't guess it, but or predict it, but based on the data and historical data that I have, I can make educated guesses on that, what I think we might see going forward here. So, and that's basically the way I'm looking at things right now. So we spoke about the 5 phases of the cycle. We spoke about the returns, the potential returns during this cycle. Again, I'm expecting around 200K potentially for the peak of this cycle. And now one more thing that I want to talk about here is let me see, do I have it here? No, I don't have it. We'll talk about it on the next one. But let's look at, let's dive into a market analysis on where we currently are and what we could potentially expect going forward here in the most immediate future. So we'll close it with that. I'll give you a few possible trade setups, what I'm possibly looking to do, and then I'll do a Q&A on any questions that you guys might have. So if you guys have any questions on anything, based on anything that has to do with, you know, either the Bitcoin cycle, the halving event, the returns, predictions, analysis, let me know right now in the comments. And another thing, guys, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you guys aren't subscribed yet. That's going to help us a ton. I'll be doing a lot more content going forward here. You know, you guys can see our latest video, actually. Let me pull it up here on YouTube, which is crazy because this is a secret that nobody's talking about, guys. And that's Bitcoin options that you guys can see here. I just did a couple weeks ago the complete beginner's guide on how to sell Bitcoin options for passive income. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is insane. These are some insane numbers that I'm hitting with Bitcoin options there. Basically, I'm hitting at about a 98% win rate. That's how, not going to say easy, but it's pretty easy to make money here. And if you want to be conservative, you can easily have a 100% win rate. If you're more aggressive, then you'll have, you know, you'll take a little bit more losses, but you can still make a whole lot more money than trading, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So this is what I'm looking at currently, and we're looking at the daily right now, right? So let's go to the 4 hour where it breaks it down a little bit further. So you can kind of understand what I'm looking at. So we had this 17, almost 18% pullback here. And we slowly bounced all the way back up, got rejected again, right? We basically accumulated here and then dropped below this big support area once again, all the way down here. Now we didn't sweep the lows, so we did set a new higher high here. And now we continued and we actually deviated above this range here, swept it, and now we've dropped back down to this main support. So look at this support, guys. Big support here, big support here. It was a big resistance here. Once we broke above it, big support, and right now it's another big support. So this is potentially a good area to get in, because there's a good probability that we hold here, and this price is around that $69,000 area, right? So we might, you know, kind of do something like this here over the next week or so. Now we do have some we have the inflation data coming out this week, so that's another thing that we have to be aware of. That's going to be tomorrow morning. So in about, let me see, 12 and about 24, less than 24 hours, it's going to be tomorrow morning at around 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have CPI data, which is inflation data for the US, coming out, and that could affect the markets. So that's something that we got to watch for tomorrow. All right. So that's where we are right now. If we were to lose this, then we would see something potentially like this, where we dropped to these next two support areas. We can see right here, 66,000, and the next one is around $65,000. And those are two pretty big support areas there. So I've been playing those areas. So my first play here would be, you know, potentially long here at $69,000 with a stop. I'd probably put the stop below the lows of the day, which are currently around 68,500, right? So about a $500 stop loss. So my target would of course be 69,500. That gives me a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio for this trade. So that's a pretty good trade that I like there. That you can set up there if we end up getting this bounce here, which we potentially could. We could potentially be taking profits there at 69,500, at 70,000, $71,000 around there, right? Depending how you want to take profits. But that's a potential play there. Another potential play is waiting and seeing if this drops further. If it does, then our next area to open a long entry would be at $66,000. That would be the next entry area that I'm interested in for a potential bounce back up here. And then, of course, the last level would be down here around that $65,000 range. We saw down here, we had a nice bounce there. And we could potentially, if we fall down lower, we could potentially see something just like that. So those are the areas that I'm looking at for longs. Now, another thing you can do, which I've been doing lately, is a laddered entries. Because we're in a bull market, whenever we're getting these pullbacks, I do not mind laddering myself into positions, meaning that, you know, I'll enter maybe, you know, a little bit there. If we hit this next, if we hit this next area, I'll enter again there. If we drop lower to 64, 65, enter again there. And I'm basically averaging down my entries all the way down, most likely to the bottom here, right? $60,000. So, you know, this obviously you're going to have a bit of a higher risk tolerance here if you're trying to do something like this. And you have to have the bankroll for it as well, because you don't want to get liquidated, right? So you want to make sure that your entries are not a lot of money, because, you know, especially the higher entries should be smaller, and then your lower entries should then increase and get a little bit bigger, because the odds of Bitcoin bouncing, the lower it goes, gets higher and higher and higher. So, you know, let's say I risk 0.5% here, then I might do another 0.5% here. Then as I drop down for my third one, I might do 1%, which is doubling these two, right? Then down here, maybe I'll do 2%, and down here, potentially 4% at $60,000. In total, it would, you know, give me like a total of like 6% risk on my portfolio, maybe, or something like that, you know. And then I'd have a stop loss below the lows here. It would be below $60,000 ideally, right? So that's the last way that you can play this. That's what I've been doing lately, because I know that price is gonna bounce, so I'm not too worried about it. Anytime we have pullbacks like we're seeing today, I'm just laddering into different entries, right? And I do this with not only with Bitcoin, but I do this with Ethereum as well. I do this with Solana and any other projects that I'm really bullish on. I'm always doing these type of laddered entries here. So we are 40 minutes in, and I think we've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about today. So now let's do a Q&A. Any questions that you guys have on anything that has to do with crypto, let me know in the comments right now, and I will, if I have an answer, I'll try to give you an answer for it. So I already answered Chubb's question. I answered Arsh's question. River says, hit that like button, everyone. Yes, guys, if you guys are tuning in, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We have Ducky Dave. Glad to see you here again. Great seeing you. He says, have you seen that GST had a recent run up? No idea why. Wondered if you had any insight. I have not. I've honestly not kept up with anything STEPN related for months now, maybe even years at this point. But I don't mind taking a look at it. Yeah, this, I mean, it looks really bad, right? This chart looks pretty terrible. So yeah, I honestly at this point I lost complete faith in the team, and I'm just not interested in anything with them. I do still have some of my stuff. We can see that I had a 45%. Is that 45%? It doesn't seem right. I feel like it was maybe more. Oh, I'm looking at it on the 4 hour. Hold on, that's why it's throwing me off a little bit. Let's go to the daily. Let's actually go to the weekly here. So since I left, this is when I left in July of 2022. I completely left STEPN, and you can see it's down pretty much 58% since I left the project. Um, yeah, and it hasn't been pretty. And then if we look at it here, I can see what you're talking about now. A few, what is this is on the daily. Why does this say November? I'm thinking that I'm looking at the wrong chart here because this is not showing me. Let's pull up another chart here. GST, USD. All right, here we go. So yeah, it looks like in February it had some sort of run up here, over 1,000% run up, and then ever since it's basically retraced 71%. It looks like there. So yeah, I have no idea honestly. I do not keep up with the project any longer, so I have no clue. I kept up with them for a little bit, and I still follow a few people on Twitter that do analysis and stuff like that about STEPN. Um, yeah, man, I just it's something I just can't get behind what the team has done, what it turned it into, and we can see here GMT, its main coin, it's basically just been accumulating here, all this year. So yeah, I definitely GST. If you're still walking and using it, you know, for sure. As long as you know that it's not really, uh, it's not really gonna do what it did before when I was covering it. It was making insane returns, right? It's not doing that anymore. I don't expect it to ever get back to that level, but you can make some extra funds here and motivate yourself to definitely make some to walk and do exercise. That's what I loved about the project, right? It got me motivated to go out and walk. But what took me away from the project was unfortunately not the project itself, but the people in charge of the project. They just, I had a lot of concerns, and I had a lot of ideas on how to potentially fix some of those concerns, and I told them about it. They didn't want to listen to me. Like, they basically just ignored me. So I created a post on Twitter about it, and basically I got in trouble for doing so with them, right? And they wanted me to take down the post, and they wanted me to only put out content that glorified what they were doing and praised them, and I wasn't gonna do that. So they got really really nasty with me, and that's when I saw their true colors and decided this is not a project that I can work with, because I saw what they actually were like, right? It's easy when everything's going great. It's easy to be nice and look great in front of everyone. But when things get tough, that's when real colors come out, and I saw their true colors. So once I saw that, I had to distance myself away from them. I didn't want to make any more content around it because I didn't want anyone else to get the wrong ideas and to get involved in this project, which I no longer believed in. So it's unfortunate, man, because it was such a great idea, such a great project, but it is what it is. And you got to move forward, right? That's just kind of how the game goes. So I still have all my sneakers. I still have everything. I never sold anything. but I really haven't used it much, and I haven't followed the project at all. All right, guys, do we have any other questions? Bet says, hi, what happened with Solana? Not much. Like it's had a pullback. It's had an insane run so far. If we look back, look at this, guys. If we look back at the bottom, you're gonna be surprised at what an insane. If you would have bought down here, look at this. This is crazy, right? This is the week of the FTX collapse. It was all the way down at $7, and the high was around 2,700% return. That's insane. Insane, guys. So, and then if we do it, all right, let's do it just from where this rally began. Still over 1,000% return. So it's not that anything's wrong with Solana. It's just that it's had. Oh, you guys can't even see the chart. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Here we go. So it's not that anything's wrong with Solana. It's that it's had an insane run already. So it needs to breathe, right? It needs to it needs to breathe. That's basically what it is. We can see it had this pullback here, ended up being around 38% pullback, and then the most recent pullback is nothing. You know, when you compare it to that, right? The most recent pullback was only 22%. The pullback before that, earlier this year, was 38%. So nothing's wrong with it. It's just accumulating after a big move up. That's very, very normal to see, and that's actually healthy to see, because things can't just go up without pulling back and without accumulating. So nothing wrong with Solana. Still a very strong project. Great opportunities here. I believe below $180 is a great opportunity to buy. If you could buy below 170, even a better opportunity. So I'm still accumulating Solana here. All right, guys, do you guys have any more questions? We've been live now for 49 minutes. Anything else you guys want me to touch on or answer, or anything of that nature? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Trying to see if I got any other questions here. Let's see. Doesn't seem like it, guys. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys are interested in following me on my day-to-day journey, day-to-day posts, I'm doing a lot of stuff on Instagram, so feel free to follow me on there, at bitcoin.daily. If you guys are interested in any of the services that I'm doing, right now I'm doing several things, guys. Let me show you guys real quick. Just a quick little self-promotion here for myself, for anyone interested. I'm doing on Discord. I'm offering a few different services. So the first one is my trades, right? Where I'm basically offering, I'm sharing all my trades that I'm taking, and these are either day trades or swing trades. And as you can see, I'm only long so far in 2024. And right now we're hitting at about a 70% win rate here. So we're at about a 70% win rate so far in 2024. The next thing is the algo. So this is the algorithm where it's taking trades, it's set and forget. This is automatic basically, with around a 75 to 80% win rate. Basically, we've set up on Cornix where you can automatically, we have an algorithm that sets up, that gives you signals, and then through another website, through a trading bot, it takes the signals for you. So it does all the trading for you. I just did a post on this recently where in last month, I got a 19.7% return last month in March. So so far in April, I upped my portfolio, and it's been a rough start. I'm not gonna lie, but we're hoping that we get back on track there. And then the last thing is the option summary. I'm sorry, the options signals, which we're selling options here for passive income for premium. And you can see year to date so far, we're about 79% profit. I think this month we're gonna get to 100% overall profit, which basically means that we're doing about 20% return per month, which is currently where we're at. We did here 23%. We did here almost 24%. Last month, we finally lost our first trade. As you guys can see here, we have one loss this year. Our win rate is at 98.44%, which is insane, right? You know, and losses are going to happen. You know, so far this month, we haven't lost any. We're up about 5%. And obviously, I'm trading with a lot more capital, guys. You know, so your numbers will be different. That's why I speak about the percentages, not the USD total. Because the percentages is going to be, you know, if you have $1,000 and you make 20%, you know, that'll be $200. If you have $10,000, you make 20% return, that'll be $2,000, right? So it's going to all depend on your capital, overall capital. My capital is always going to be different from yours. And that's basically it as far as, you know, what I'm offering there with my services. If you guys are interested in any of that, feel free to go and sign up below in the description. We have a few, I see another question there. Andy says, any other similar crypto games that you suggest looking into, or are they all just a waste of time? So what I will say, there are some interesting games out there. However, if you're looking to use them to make profits, not really. There's not really anything out there that's gonna make you profits like we saw last year, at least not in this point in time that I'm aware of. But also, I'm not 100% into looking for crypto games right now to try to make money right now, like I was before. So before, I was doing it with like the ice poker. I did it with Step In, and I tried it with a few other games. And some of them, what I ran into is that with crypto games in the beginning, it could be pretty good, you know, so you have to be in early. Make sure to get your investments out, and then, you know, just kind of ride the wave for as long as possible. Because what happens with all of them, when we've seen them with all of them, from Axie Infinity to Ice Poker to Step In, they end up fizzling out as more and more people jump on. And that's just because of the way that it's set up, right? You're earning tokens that are inflationary, so their value overall is eventually going to drop, like we've seen with all of them. So that's the tough thing with any of these gaming coins and gaming projects that are giving out rewards in crypto. It's tough, man, because they haven't figured it out yet. And the reality is that there can't be, there's not going to be one that's going to make insane profits, right? That's going to, based on that you're going to get an insane return, because when they are insane profits, they're not sustainable. So that's the issue with that. And overall, for myself, I've kind of steered away from the crypto gaming projects, just because they're not the most profitable for me, and I can personally make more money in other sectors and doing other things, right now. So I rather personally do those other things. I rather sell options. I'm doing 20% returns per month selling options. That's insane. You're never gonna see that anywhere. I'd rather spend my time creating algorithms for trading. I've already have one that I released, and that one's been averaging almost 20% per month. So I have a lot of different things that I've been spending my time on. I feel like I'm spending my time more efficiently, and I'm getting way better returns focusing on these projects here. So yeah, man, that's just my 2 cents on it. Some other people are gonna have different opinions, of course, but you know, I've been in this game now since 2017, and the one thing that's most consistent, that's sustainable, is within trading. And you know that, and within, and I'm not talking about just day trading because it is hard if you don't know how to do it, but just you could do a lot of swing trading. There's a lot of different strategies that you can use for that where you can make a lot of money. And I even did a video on that at the beginning of this bull run. Let me see if I have it on here. I did this video right here, my easy strategy to earn $1 million in crypto in 2024. And basically that strategy was very, very simple for anyone to do. Basically the idea behind that was if there's any big pullbacks of 15% and beyond, build up big positions and you're gonna make easy money. And that's basically, you know, another thing that I've been doing. So to answer your question, no, I'm not looking into any other crypto projects right now. But all right, guys, we're at the 1 hour mark. So I appreciate you guys, everybody who tuned in. We will be live again. I'm thinking of doing another live at the end of the week, maybe specifically covering altcoins. So if you guys like that idea, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully I see you on the next one. As always, peace and love.